Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakudash. Double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone who taught us the truth and who rule well. Peace, love, salutations, and mercy be unto the hopeful elect. Back again with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Ratazah. This lesson is edifying into the ears of you hopeful elect. You Akim and few Akwathium that subscribe unto this truth, that believe in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai in their word with your whole heart, mind, body, and soul, and that are patiently awaiting for these prophecies to be fulfilled and the return of Yahweh Shai to redeem the elect. We are in the time of the implementation of the mark of the beast and the mark of the beast system. And be ready, against the day in which we that are deniers of the Civet 1984, the Crown Royal 19 Maxine, to be ostracized and kicked out of society. Now, although that Maxine is not the mark of the beast, they're setting up a system and getting ready for the implementation of the mark of the beast, the true mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip. And everyone that received that Maxine will receive the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip and the brain implant. And those that refuse, you will be separated, you will be cut off, you will be ostracized, you will be demonized, you will be taken, you will be in prison, some will be beaten. Because at the end of the day, this prophecy has to be fulfilled. But maintain your faith unto the end, because through your faith and through your patience and through enduring, you will obtain the promises that are set up for those that are faithful unto Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. In the book of 1 Peter, beginning at the 5th verse, it reads, "Who are kept by the power of Yahweh through faith unto salvation, ready to be revealed in the last day." And Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai will lift up a standard for the elect. He will lift up a standard to deliver them via spiritual powers, via the angels, and the ultimate standard, which is going to be Yahweh Shai, coming in the great fathership to deliver the elect, as it states within Matthew, the 24th chapter, verse 30. And he will send forth his angels to gather the elect from the four corners of the earth, as it states also within the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter, that they all were caught up into heaven, and they were received in a great cloud, which would be a great fathership. But before all of this, we must suffer, and we must go through the time of Jacob's trouble. We must go through the hour of temptation. We must go through being drove out of our homes, drove out of our jobs, not having access to certain rights or rather certain privileges, not being able to go to markets, not being able to go to restaurants, not being able to go to certain places within our Esau society, because we won't comply to the system in which he's setting up, which they're preparing the mark of the beast system. The C19 is just a way of doing it, but eventually it's going to be a mark that they put in your right hand or in your forehead, or it's going to be a mark that they put anywhere in your body in regards to you receiving the RFID chip and the brain implant. So keep your faith unto the end, man. Reading on, it says, wherein ye greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, you are in heaviness, through manifold temptation. And right now, we haven't suffered unto blood. So right now, this is just a light affliction. But we're getting ready to go through great heaviness and manifold temptations. Which it won't be easy unless you're full of the faith and you trust in the word of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Because our faith is going to be tried. We're going to be tempted. And those that will not endure unto the end and that apostatize, you will not be delivered. Reading on, it says, the trial of your faith being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahushua, whom ye have not seen, ye love, in whom, though now ye see not, yet believing, ye rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, because we haven't seen Yahushua, but we believe in his testimony, which the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. And within part of that testimony, because the scripture said, for lo, he come in the volume of the book, it is written of him. So the whole book is written of Yahushua and is written of testimonies, of his testimony. But there's a particular prophecy in Revelation 13th chapter, verse 16 through 18. All right. So if you refuse, all right, Esau's carnal mark, that means that you truly believe in Yahushua. If you accept it, then that means that you have denied Yahushua and that you really don't believe. Receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls. All right. Receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your soul. Because if you keep the faith unto the end and you don't give up and you have patience, all right, then eventually you're going to be saved. All right, because you showed that you were worthy. There's an article from the Summit News, and this article was published December 22nd, 2020, and it says British government contract firms to make CEVIT 1984 freedom passports. The British government to have contracted 2 firms to develop Crown Royal 19 freedom passports that will be used to segregate society between those who have been tested and vaccinated against CEVIT 19 and those who have not. So really what this is at the end of the day, because the vaccine will not be and is not the mark of the beast. All right. It says, while the government is still saying that it will not introduce a system, the firms have been given instructed to develop an app-based system to integrate a QR code leaking a digital passport. So you have a digital passport or a freedom passport, all right, that will say if you've been vaccinated or not. And if you have not received any vaccines and cannot prove that you have received vaccines, it says this: the QR code will be used to gain entry into pubs, clubs, venues, cinemas, basically anywhere in public. After scanning the QR code, the venue could refuse entry to those without a recent negative result, the Daily Mail notes. So although this system may seem as if, you know, the Crown Royal 19 vaccine is the mark of the beast, it's not the mark of the beast. And although it's not the mark of the beast, you still should not receive it. All right, because if you do so, then there's many ways that this could take away your salvation from Yahweh Bashmi Shai. You know, one, it alters the murder. 2, it alters your God gene. You know, it also makes you sterile. So Esau pretty much have all the bases covered. And what this is doing is this is putting together a system for what is the real mark of the beast, which is going to be implemented eventually. The negative Crown Royal 19 test certification plans were discovered on the UK government contract finder. The site shows that in November, a 42,000 euro contract was awarded to a company called Net Company UK to develop a Crown Royal 19 certification passport MVP, minimal viable product. Another contract for 34,000 euros was awarded to a hub company to develop an app that will include a personal QR code for Crown Royal 19 tests. It is about looking at ways we could use this in the future. A Department of Health source claimed, adding, it is looking at whether it would be possible. So the way that it's going to be used in the future is not going to be through a cell phone. It's going to be used via a RFID chip or a brain implant. There are no plans to introduce immunity passports. The source also claimed, echoing previous government assurance. We previously reported back in November on the government active plans to develop a QR code system to use as an immunity passport. The report, stemming from source close to the government, noted that those who refuse to get a Crown Royal 19 jab would likely be refused entry to venues as part of the same proposal. So as you can see, they're ready to ostracize you from society. They're ready to kick you out of society for not receiving this Crown Royal 19 vaccine. But this whole system is pretty much geared towards eventually implementing the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, because you would have to constantly go and get vaccines. You would have to constantly go and get vaccines, because they could just say that there's a higher strand that came out of whatever that disease is, and that there's a newer vaccine that you have to get. For an example, this is an article from December 24th, 2020, and it reads, "Good news for vaccines. Crown Royal 19 immunity lasts for at least 8 months, Australian researcher says," which I'm sure that they'll come out and say something else, that it only lasts, for a lesser time than that, and that every so often, just like you do with the flu shot, you have to go and get a new one, every year, around that certain season, which that disease becomes its deadliest, according to the people that are ruling over. So that right there, shows that this can't be the mark of the beast. That the RFID chip would actually be, that mark of the beast that they're going to implement, because eventually they're going to say that, these vaccines aren't working, and that they'll have to go with another measure, and that if you receive the RFID chip, that you never have to receive a vaccine again. All right. But going over to this article from the Daily Mail, and this is where the other one from Summit News came from. Firms start to work on Freedom Passport documents would allow people who have tested negative for Crown Royal 19 to enter pubs, schools, and workplace. So here it is. It said workplace, right? So they'll take away your ability to work if you don't eventually receive their RFID chip in the brain implant, because this is what this is gearing up to. Reading in this article, it says the context envisage a system under which people are assigned a QR code on their smartphones, linking to digital passports that includes a photo of them after a Crown Royal 19 test. This will be updated at the test entry, and when people want to enter a venue, they can present their QR code as proof of their negative status. After scanning in the QR code, the venue could refuse entry to those without a recent negative result. The ideal is controversial, and critics argue if it would, in fact, create an apartheid, a system between those who have the virus and those who do not, in which the RFID chip system will be an apartheid system, because those that don't receive the RFID chip or the brain implant will be kicked out of society, and they won't be able to buy, they won't be able to sell, they won't be able to work, they won't be able to rent, apartments, they won't be able to have mortgages and own homes. They won't be able to buy cars. They won't be able to buy plane tickets. They won't be able to travel on buses, on trains. They won't be able to use public transportation. They won't be able to do anything within the public, but they'll be kicked out of society completely. And that's similar to China's social credit system, in which if you have a bad social credit score, you can't do any of those things that were foresaid. They're going to implement that thing or this system, in America and worldwide. Now, in regards to the CVIT 1984 or Crown Royal 19 vaccine and the Freedom Passport, that they're trying to use an app and give you a certain QR code on your phone to tell if you have a negative test result or not, so that you can be allowed within venues, in public places. Everyone don't have smartphones. All right, it says it is not clear how those without smartphones will be able to prove they were negative. So what about people that can't afford to pay their bill, and have no ability to use a smartphone, or don't have a smartphone, or the homeless? All right, what will happen in regards to them? Everyone don't have smartphones. And I don't see a mandate or decree being implemented by governments, all right, for everybody to get smartphones. And if they did, who would pay the bill, for each and every one of these individuals, which that would become highly expensive and very complicated. So to simplify it, because if you put an RFID chip or a brain implant in somebody, you don't have to pay a bill on that. It would just connect to, a tower, such as 5G. It would connect to it, wirelessly, the same way that your cell phone connects to your cell phone network or connects to Wi-Fi. And you don't have to pay a bill on it, but they can keep tabs on you. They can know where you are. They can monitor and control you. They can control your finances through the RFID chip system that gives Esau the total control over you. The Department of Health source said the scheme, it calls it a scheme, was exploratory work, and the system was not being introduced imminently, which means right away, but eventually it will be introduced. It is about looking at ways we could use this in the future. The source added, it is looking at whether it would be possible. And when they fully implement this thing, you better believe that they're going to make it mandatory for you to receive, these vaccines, and then eventually to receive the RFID chip, which is the brain implant, which is the actual RFID chip. All right, the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. That's what I meant to say. But going over to the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter in verse 16. All right, be ready to be kicked out of society, man. All right, be ready against the day, in which Esau will kick you out of society for not receiving his RFID chip or brain implant, for not receiving, the vaccines, which are going to lead up unto receiving the RFID chip and the brain implant. All right, what you see, the system is set in place, and they're setting it up, for everyone to receive Esau's carnal mark. Which some people believe that the mark of the beast is the Crown Royal 19 vaccine, but it can't be, because how would you be able to buy and sell with that? Now, let's say, for instance, you got the vaccine and you go into a pub or a venue and you show your cell phone, which has a QR code, you still would have to buy and sell using the dollar while it's still available, and then eventually a digital dollar. So you're not buying with the vaccine. The mark of the beast would have to be something else, and that something else is the RFID chip. Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand on their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. And Esau is using, his medical field and also his financial side of this system, all right, to implement the RFID chip in the brain implant, which is the mark of the beast. All right, and they're trying to X out the Messiah, and they want you to make a covenant and a league of friendship with them. And when you go to the word right hand, and this is something I caught through looking up the word right, which is Dexios, if I'm not mistaken. When you go to the Greek, Thayer's Greek lexicon, and you go down, it reads this. It says to pledge either a mutual friendship or compact by joining the right hand. So if you take Esau's carnal mark, which is the RFID chip, all right, beginning with his vaccine, but eventually to take the RFID chip in the brain implant, that's you pledging a mutual friendship, or a compact, which is a covenant, all right, by joining the right hand, all right, joining the right hand in fellowship. A scripture that they give is Galatians 2:9. It says, and when James, Cephas, and John, all right, who seemed to be pillars, all right, perceived the grace that was given unto me, they gave me and Barnabas the right hands of fellowship, that we should go unto the heathen, and they unto the circumcision. Now, of course, this has nothing to do with the RFID chip and the brain implant. All right, but dealing with the part that says the right hand of fellowship. All right, that's the part that we're bringing out. So if you receive Esau's vaccine and then eventually receive his RFID chip and brain implant, which the RFID chip and the brain implant is the mark of the beast, you're receiving, all right, the right hand of fellowship. You're making a contract with them. All right, you're bowing down to the image of Baal, and you're saying that you would rather have Esau rule over you than the Most High Heavenly Father and Yahushua. And that's evil in the sight of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Which it doesn't matter where you receive this carnal mark. Because when you go to Revelation 14:9, it says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man had worshipped the beast or his image, and received his mark in his forehead or in his hand. So it doesn't say right hand there. Right here it says, or in his hand. So it doesn't matter where you receive it at. If you receive the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, you will be destroyed. Because you're making Esau your friend, which means that you love him. And as it states right here within the book of Exodus, the 21st chapter, in verse 5, it says, and if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, my children, and I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall bring him unto the door or unto the doorpost. And his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So if you receive Esau's carnal mark, the RFID chip or the brain implant, you're saying that you love Esau. You're saying that you love this world, which the scriptures say, according to James 4:4, it says, ye adulterers and adulteress, know ye not that the friendship of this world is enmity with Yahweh? Or whosoever therefore is a friend of the world is an enemy of Yahweh. So if you enter into a league with Esau Edom, into a compact of friendship, into an agreement with him, you're basically calling him your friend. But really he's your master, because it will be a slave and a master relationship. He's not really your friend, but nonetheless still using this word. The word there is philia.
Strong's G 5373. Philia.
And the root word is philos, which means friend, to be friendly to, wish him well, a friend, an associate, he who associates familiarly with one, a companion. But nonetheless, if you're entering into a compact or a covenant with this world, then you are enemy of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And what is going to happen to the enemies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai? Well, one, it states within the book of Isaiah, the 28th chapter, and going down to the 18th verse, it says, "And your covenant with death and hell shall be disannulled." So your compact that you make with this devil, if you receive his RFID chip and brain implant, shall be disannulled, shall be made null and void. And your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then shall you be trodden down by it. And that overflowing scourge will be when Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai sweeps through this land with thermonuclear destruction. It says in the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, that he shall sweep it with the besom of destruction. There's going to be 200 million missiles that are detonated, and the majority of them are going to hit the United States of America, to the point where this land is completely destroyed. So going over to this scripture, this is what's going to happen to the enemies of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. The book of Psalms, the 66th chapter, and beginning at verse 3. It says, "Say unto Yahweh, how terrible art thou in thy works. Through the greatness of thy power shall thy enemies submit themselves unto thee." So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is about to show great powers against his enemies. And if you're entering into a compact or a covenant of friendship through receiving Esau's vaccine, then later on receiving the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, or the brain implant, all right, you are going to be caught up in the terrible judgments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All the earth shall worship thee and shall sing unto thee, and they shall sing to thy name, Salah. Because after Yahweh does these great things in the earth is going to be put under the subjection of him. And all of the earth will fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Come and see the works of Yahweh. He is terrible in his doings toward the children of men. He turned the sea into dry land. They went through the flood on foot. There did we rejoice in him. And this is speaking of the time where the children of Israel were afflicted in Egypt. And after the time that was told unto Abraham that his seed would be afflicted by their enemies, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai sent Moses. And Moses and Aaron led the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. And great signs and wonders were shown by Yahweh. And Yahushai was present. He was that angel of Yahweh's presence that helped to deliver the children of Israel out of Egypt. And he led the children of Israel through the great flood. And he drowned Pharaoh and his army in the flood. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is going to deliver us out of this captivity, but instead of going through a flood of water, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai isn't going to part the Pacific Ocean, or he's not going to part the Atlantic Ocean, and the children of Israel pass through on dry shod. He's going to send his chariots, and they're going to be taken out by way of ships. Those that endure unto the end and that are patient and that endure the suffering of the affliction that they're going to go through, and having faith unto the end in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Reading on, it says, "He ruleth by his power forever. His eyes beholdeth the nations. Let not the rebellious exalt themselves, Salah." And this is what Esau is doing at this current moment. He's exalting himself. And he's, putting this system together, to feed himself, or to establish his new world order, through the Great Reset. Hoping that he may extend minutes into his rulership through causing everyone in the world to receive this vaccine, which is against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, to vaccinate all of the Israelites that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and then eventually to cause them to receive the RFID chip, which is the brain implant, and basically to, saying unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, look, I caused all of the people in the earth to show that they would rather have me rule in the earth and to rule over instead of your son Yahushai, and to cause Israel to go off, so that he can continue his rulership, because he knows that his time is short. Revelation 12:12. So he is exalting himself. But the elect will not receive the RFID chip or the brain implant. What are they going to do? They're going to stay faithful unto the end, even if they have to suffer great things. The scripture says, "Oh, bless our power, ye people, and make the voice of his praise to be heard. Which holdeth our souls in life, and suffereth not our feet to be moved." And what does it mean to hold our souls in life? If you go to the translation comparison and you go to the HNV, which is the Hebrew National Version, if I'm not mistaken, that's how you pronounce it. It says, "Who preserve our life among the living and doesn't allow our feet to be moved." All right, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to lift up a standard for those that are faithful unto him. All right, for the elect, to which, although the elect are going through these great things in the earth and suffering at the hand of Esau Edom, and Esau Edom implementing his system, the RFID chip system, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua will preserve the lives of the elect and will not suffer their feet to be moved. They're not going to make haste. They're not going to be, afraid to the point where they choose Esau's salvation and deliverance over the true deliverance of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. All right, they're going to keep that faith unto the end, and they're going to receive the end of their faith, which is the salvation of their souls. Reading on, it says, For thou, O power, hast proved us, thou hast tried us as silver is tried. See, the trial of our faith, worketh patience. And at the end of that patience is going to be the salvation of your soul, as it going back to the book of 1 Peter, all right, in which I read earlier. 1 Peter is the 5th chapter. I'm Salakia, not the 5th chapter. All right, 1 Peter is the 1st chapter, and I begin at the 5th verse, but this time I'm going to read, all right, just the 7th verse on down. 1 Peter 1:7. It says that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise, honor, and glory at the appearing of Yahushua. Jumping down, it says, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your soul. So even though we're being tried, and our access to food is taken away, our access to go to certain venues is taken away, our access to work is taken away, our access to have a permanent domain, shelter, is taken away. If we endure to the end, we will be delivered, because who brought us into this net? Who brought these affliction upon our loins? Who allowed Esau to rule over in the earth? And who allowed him to do the things that he's doing right now? Is it not Yahweh? All right, who setteth up kings and who take down kings? Who setteth up kingdoms and who take down kingdoms? All right, which Yahweh is getting ready to establish our kingdom. Esau is the last kingdom that is going to rule over before the kingdom of Israel is implemented, as it states within the book of 2nd Ezra. All right, the 6th chapter in the 9th verse, which reads, it says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." So our kingdom is getting ready to be established. Verse 12 in Psalm 66, "Thou hast caused men to ride over our head. We went through fire and through water, but thou broughtest us out into a wealthy place." Because the place that Yahweh, although this is speaking about ancient Egypt, our power is about to do the same thing for us now. And he's going to bring us out into a wealthy place again. All right, he's going to deliver us, and he's going to cause us to inherit the kingdom of heaven. All right, for those of us that remain faithful. Because the time is coming in which, Esau is going to come after us. All right, those of us that are not willing to receive his vaccine, and then later on to receive the RFID chip and the brain implant. And while there is going to be an apartheid, because the article read that there will be an apartheid, right? What is an apartheid? Apartheid is a segregation on grounds other than race. So you may be familiar with the South African apartheid, in which they were pretty much segregation between the South Africans, and the Edomites that came to inhabit South Africa, and how they were not allowed to get certain lands and, buy certain things, and they were treated unfairly. Well, the same thing is going to happen with the apartheid of the RFID chip. and those that have the vaccine, and those that have not the vaccine, and later on those that have the mark of the beast and those that have not the mark of the beast. All right, those that don't receive the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, they won't be able to buy and sell. But those that have the RFID chip in the brain implant will. There's going to be buying and selling that's going on. That's the reason why in the book of Luke, the 17th chapter, and going down to verse 26, it reads, "And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives. They were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built it. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all." So, during the time of Yahweh's coming, there will be individuals that have the mark of the beast, the RFID chip, and the brain implant that will be buying and selling. But in regards to those that don't receive Esau's carnal mark, they will be kicked out of society. And that's the reason why the scripture says in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, and verse 40, it says, be as pilgrims in the earth. O my people, hear the word, make ye ready to the battle, and in those evils be as pilgrims upon the earth. He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose, and he that occupieth merchandise as he that hath no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein, and he that soweth as he that should not reap. So also he that planteth the vineyard as he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry as they that get no children, and they that marry not as the widowers. And therefore they that labor in vain. For strangers shall reap the fruits, and spoil their goods, and overthrow their houses, and take their children captives. For in captivity and famine shall they get children. And they that occupy merchandise with robbery, and the more they deck their cities, their houses, their possessions, and their own persons, the more will I be angry with them for their sins, saith Yahweh. Like as a whore envieth a righteous and virtuous woman, so shall the righteous hate iniquity when she decketh herself, and shall accuse her to her face when he cometh, that shall defend him that diligently search out every sin upon the earth. And therefore be ye not like unto them, nor of the works thereof. For yet a little, and iniquity shall be taken out of the earth, and the righteous shall reign among you. And that's what we're waiting for. And we're willing to not comply and to join into a compact and covenant with Esau, because we understand that Yahweh is about to bring us into a wealthy place, and that just a little moment, because the joy of the hypocrite is for a moment. All right, and Esau will be taken out of power, and wickedness shall be taken out, and the righteous shall reign and rule among us. All right, we're going to be in power, and our kingdom is going to be established. So we must wait, and we must endure unto the end. All right, because they're going to kick us out. They're going to separate us. But it's a blessing, when you are separated.